to this year's Global Health Summit. I'm Kerry Tepedino. I'm your host of this event and your personal holistic health practitioner. And I am so excited by today's call because not only is the expert that you're going to meet a personal friend of mine, but she truly is out there making a really big difference in the lives of a lot of people in regards to their health. And she is so knowledgeable and she has so much rich content to share with you that we're just going to have a really great conversation today, that we're going to leave you with some action items. We're going to leave you feeling great and hopeful and inspired. And we're just going to get down to the nitty gritty of it so that we can take the mystery out of health and weight loss for you. So today's expert is Marcie Peters, and Marcie is really known as America's whole life coach. She truly is committed, and I know this from personal experience, but she truly is committed to empowering others to live not only a status quo life, but a life that really is courageous. You know, one that they're really going for this vibrant health dream that they want with every cell in their body, and really going for that dream of being truly happy and satisfied and content. She's a holistic nutritionist. She's a transformational mentor. She coaches people all over the world who really want to connect more with themselves, to gain like a really deep, rich life that they're really excited about, that they're on purpose, and they've just fallen in love with what they're able to explore and create for themselves on a daily basis. Marcie holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Washington. She's graduated from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. She's the founder of the Health and the Happiness Guide and Transform Your Health World Summit. She's an author, a host of Transformation TV, and she is a sought-after speaker. She's been on events, she's been on TV before, and she really has made an impact in the world with her message far and wide. And I'm so excited because, you know, I've spent some personal time with Marcie, and I know that she really is passionate about what she's doing in the world, and she's passionate about you feeling as if you can reach your goals, and she's really here to help you succeed at that. So Marcie, thank you for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Kerry.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course I wanted to have you on as one of this year's experts. You know, I really want to give you the floor first, and I want you to bring people up to speed because I want you to help them understand why you're doing this work in the first place and why you're so passionate about it, and what your personal story or your personal journey has been. I think you can explain that far better than I, and you just speaking from your heart will really help you connect with everybody who's on the call with us today.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. So my journey began in my early 20s, and I'm 42 now. So about 20 years ago, I got really sick, and I'd had a flu. It was really bad, and I just never really seemed to recover. And that horrible, achy, flu-like feeling that you get throughout your body just never left. It was just kind of stuck, and I didn't really know what was going on. I thought, oh well, I'm just, you know, it's taking longer to move through than usual, and it didn't leave, and it was weeks and it was months, and then, you know, doctors and more doctors and more doctors, and I really started to feel like, oh my gosh, something's really wrong here. I wonder if, you know, I might be dying, I might have cancer. I mean, who knows? I felt really bad. I was really hurting and really achy, and it was really starting to affect every aspect of my life, from work to relationships. I didn't want to leave the house, and I was just kind of staying in bed a lot and missing a lot of work, and then I lost my job, and so it just kind of progressively got worse and worse from there, and doctors weren't helping me, and they basically said, it's incurable. We don't know what you have, but it's incurable, and we can try to manage it with medication, and that's the best you can really hope for. And I was thinking, wow, I'm in my early 20s. That's a long life of pain and fatigue and debilitating type of condition. So I tried the medication didn't really work. As we know, there's a lot of side effects that come with those medications, and they're meant to be used acutely. They're meant to be used short-term, not chronically for months and years at a time. And so after a while, I decided, you know what, enough of that, and I'm just going to figure this out myself. And that's when I started doing research and educating myself. And ultimately, it has a happy ending, but I was sick for 16 years, so it was a long time. And then I did turn it around. I met a health coach who is a local friend of mine who was absolutely instrumental. And she started teaching me about inflammatory foods and different things like this. And so after I got over my denial over how food was affecting my energy and my pain, because I just didn't see the correlation for a long time, and I didn't want to, right? I didn't want to have to change what I was doing because that was so much work and I had so little energy anyway. I barely had, any kind of a social life, let alone a stable job or anything. So I started turning things around, and I did it with those lifestyle changes, including nutrition. And that wasn't the whole thing. That helped a lot. But what I want to talk about today is how health is so much more than just physical. It's so much more than nutrition. Nutrition is important. I consider nutrition really a foundational piece, and you really need that to build on for the other things. But for me, to get really fully, vibrantly better, it was so much more than that. And so, Kerry, that's why I'm so passionate about helping people, because I was in that stuck place, that victim place for a long, long time. And there's no need for anyone to suffer that long. I mean, I appreciate my journey now and I consider it a blessing, but man, was it a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time. And I'm really glad we are hitting on the topic of why vibrant health is so much more than physical. And that was a long time, and I really understand it because I had an eating addiction, body image disorder, low self-esteem. And, just like you went through that darkest chapter of your life with your health, and I did the same. And when you're in it, you don't see the gift by any means. But in hindsight, looking back, I'm sure you're just like me, where now you can see the gift because it's allowed you to build the platform you have today to help other people, to be wildly passionate about what you're doing. And yet it was hard. It's really painful to go through that process. So I'm interested, Marcie, like you're saying that health isn't just physical. So what did you learn through this whole journey and all the speed bumps and the hiccups? What did you learn that it is about?
So there's so much more. So the first thing I like to start with is personal responsibility, right? Because if you're in a place like I was a victim. I was looking at doctors to save me, to help me, to get me better. Like it was their job. It's not their job. It's no one's job to get you healthy or have you be happy. That solely relies on you, which is really empowering. It's really cool. I mean, it might feel like a burden at first, this responsibility, like this heavy jacket that you're putting on. But it's actually really empowering because if it's in the hands of someone else, you don't have any control over it. But if it's in the hands of yourself and you get to make those decisions, then it makes all the difference. So the first thing that for me I needed to do was step out of being a victim, step out of shrugging off that responsibility and say, okay, look, everything that is happening in my life, I have created. And then the key to that, of course, is to do it without judging or blaming or creating guilt for yourself, because that's going to be counterproductive. So really just step into it from a place of possibility. Yeah. And so that's what I did. I decided, you know what, I can create whatever I want, and without blame for all of those years. Now I can step into the life that I want. So health and happiness, both, which is what I like to focus on, and everything else starts with responsibility. So that's really the first piece of it.
Which is really great. And, sometimes it's a really hard conversation to have, right? Because it means that you need to get really honest with yourself. And I know that with my clients, when I've had to have that conversation around self-responsibility, it hasn't been easy for all of them. It's a little bit of tough love, like, okay, but why are you in this position? But then it's just like what you said, it's when you're able to help them shift the mindset to actually say, no, this is an amazing gift that I get to be empowered and in control and responsible for my health. And yes, maybe I'm in the position I am today because I didn't get that before, or I wasn't making the right choices before. But now I understand this concept, which means that the rest of my life is an open book. I can create this beautiful painting with all the colors that I really want versus feel like I can only paint in red or I can only paint in blue, you know? So it's a great blessing, and it's really hard for a lot of people.
It changes everything, and it's the hardest thing to get.
Yeah.
But when you do, then the whole world opens up, like I said, possibility.
Right.
But when someone is a victim, they don't know they're a victim. No one would choose to be a victim and choose to be in that place where their personal empowerment is so small. So they have no idea.
Right. And you don't know what you don't know until you know, right?
Yes.
So sometimes that whole flash of awareness, it takes you to a whole nother level of understanding of why your life is what it is, why your body is, why your health is what it is. So after responsibility, because that's your first step, that's the first thing people need to claim, then what comes next?
Okay, so the next piece of it is recognizing that you are not broken, that you are not deficient, that you don't have to be someone else, that you are already whole, complete, amazing, unique, and magnificent, just as you are. And from that place, which is a place of self-love, then you can start making those tweaks and those changes and those upgrades to have more health and more happiness and more love and more success and all of those things. But if you're trying to make those changes from a place of, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not valuable, I need to change myself to be those things, then it's counterproductive and it won't work. It will be short term. Yeah. That's what a diet is basically saying, I need to lose weight because I'm not enough or not good enough. So I never do diets with my clients. And so I always start with loving yourself into the change, like gently nurturing yourself into the change. And that's really important. So that's a mindset shift that most people, may not recognize why why are you trying to change? Why are you trying to pursue better health or more happiness? Yeah, you would like more energy and maybe to lose weight, but are you doing it from a place of self-love? And that's critically important. Everything that can flow from self-love will just be a beautiful expression.
So do you find that it's been hard for your clients or the people that you talk to get this self-love piece? Because, oftentimes when the people that we work with, they come from a long history of not feeling good enough, not feeling valuable, not feeling worthy, or, whatever. Usually from their childhood, they've created these stories that aren't true, right? And they believe them over and over and over again. So I'm interested to hear how it's been for you with the people you work with. Has it been really difficult for them to grasp this piece and to let go of the self-bashing and the self-sabotage so that they can loosen the grips of it and they can eventually, move forward and build a potency up of health?
It can be, and then other times it just flows. So I think it's about approach and attitude. If you're trying to get something so much that it's like this gripping energy, it's like this holding on tightly, this desperation energy, then it's going to be harder. If you can start to trust and flow with it, then it happens more easily. And having a mentor or someone you trust that's guiding you through that process is really instrumental, because that person will hold the space for you to be magnificent even when you don't feel magnificent.
Exactly.
So everyone's different and everyone has their own journey. But Kerry, I'll tell you, I've been through the whole, doubting myself, not liking myself, being very critical. I had one of my parents that was very critical with me. So that voice was in my head for a long, long time, just feeling like I wasn't good enough and I had to prove myself and this sort of thing. So I think it's really common, and it's something that isn't discussed a lot, isn't brought up to the surface a lot. So yeah.
So, and self-sabotage, that whole piece of self-sabotage truly is where people, like they come up against their wall, and it's usually the same patterns of the self-sabotage: perfectionism, overindulgence, negative self-talk, perfectionism, and procrastination. Like usually it's that same pattern that they fall back into when they hit the 5 or 6 week point, or they hit maybe some people it's even the 1 or 2 week point, and I love what you said about having a mentor. I feel the same way. I feel like get your mentor, get your community in place that you resonate with, that speaks to you, because they will believe in you even more than you believe in yourself sometimes. And a lot of people have never had somebody be a stake in the ground for them in a way like that. Like they've never experienced that in their life before. Have you noticed that too?
Most people haven't, because even our parents and our spouses, that's not their role. That's not what they're there for. They're having their own experiences and their own self-development and their own learning. Actually having a dedicated person whose place it is, whose role in your life is to hold that space and believe in you and, give you those things those insights that you can't see for yourself. Yeah, that's so instrumental.
It's so instrumental. I actually, the first time I invested in a coach years ago, I was terrified of putting in the investment. I was terrified. I was like, oh my gosh, I've never spent this much money on myself. Who am I to think that I deserve this? All of this monkey mind stuff. And I have hired at least one high-end coach every year since then, because it just catapults you to the next level with whatever that coach's intention is for you. And I know it can be terrifying, and it can also be really scary because people have never said yes to themselves in such a big way that it's like teetering on that cliff, right? Like you got to jump and move forward to get to where you really want to go, but you've never done it before, so it's absolutely terrifying. And everybody on this call, Marcie and I are just here for you. We support you. We love you. Jump, say yes to the bigger life for yourself. It's there. It's waiting.
It's like you saying that you don't trust yourself. If you want something, you want it badly, and this is the way to get it. This is the fastest vehicle, the most efficient and effective way is to have that dedicated person. It's like saying either I don't trust you as the coach, which is fine, find someone else that you do trust, or you don't trust yourself. Those are the only two reasons why people don't jump into an opportunity that they know they want and has been effective for a lot of people and will be effective for them, is that they don't trust themselves. And that's a big part of self-love, is if you can start to look inside and just trust that you have the answers. Like if you sit there and your heart is saying, yeah, I really want this and I really feel comfortable with this potential coach, and you still say no, then that's a form of not loving yourself. And that example can happen at, anytime you go against your inner wisdom in life, you're not loving yourself.
Right. Yeah, it's very true. And it's very scary. Especially that first big yes is incredibly scary to take for a lot of people, because we're human and humans aren't wired to love change, So what I always say is, if you're feeling that fear, like if you're listening to Marcie and I, or if you're following all the interviews on the Global Health Summit and you're getting excited and inspired, and yet you are scared, then I say that's a really good sign. It means that if you say that yes, it means that transformation is probably right around the corner for you. I always say that little element of fear, but yet there's excitement. It's a really good sign. It's like breadcrumbs from the universe. Follow the breadcrumbs,
Because you can transmute that fear into enthusiasm and excitement and commitment and intention, and move forward.
So okay, we have the responsibility, we have the self-love, and then what comes next for people on this path?
Okay, so making yourself a priority and recognizing that making yourself a priority is not selfish. It's actually crucial. Mm-hmm. It's actually really important, because you can't give what you don't have. If your tank is empty, then you can't, if you're giving to other people, you're doing it from a deficit. It's a scarcity. And so fill up your tank first, make yourself a priority. And then from there, you can spread, you'll have, this overflowing amount of energy and love and enthusiasm. So figure out what is important for you. Like, I actually have a chart, and you probably do too, Kerry, because you're really self-aware. I know exactly how much sleep I need to be optimal versus how much sleep just gets me through the day, how much exercise I need, what types of food, how often I need that food, how much water, how much affection, and, how much of these little things that I do for myself, like just spending time alone or taking a bath or getting a massage or whatever that self-care is. I use self-care as a vehicle to build up the self-love for yourself, to show yourself that you love yourself. Because with someone else, you can do nice things for them and you can give them words of approval and different things like that. But how are you showing yourself? We do that all the time for other people. But how are we demonstrating that to ourselves and creating an environment where we can trust ourselves, and also we want to be in a partnership with our body. So if we're doing things for our body that supports our physical health, our body will trust us more and at the same time be there for us and be stronger and more capable for us. So recognizing that it is not selfish to, do all those things, make yourself a priority.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I work with the majority of women, and it's amazing how so many people are wired, and a lot of women are wired to put everybody else first. And to think that they don't deserve that same type of attention or that same type of time or effort. And I see it in like 8 out of 10 of my clients. And it's a hurdle. It really is a hurdle for them to get over in the beginning because they're not used to thinking that it's okay to, go exercise every day, to take the time to exercise or to take the time to take a bath. Or, like they should be doing laundry or they should be, doing something else for somebody else. So, what way because I'm sure that you've hit this too with your clients. So how do you help them over that hump to really get it in their mind and to create the consistency around it? Because it's not a one-time thing. People need to be consistent with the self-love pieces. So, what have you done or what do you do with your clients to really get them in the habits? Because what we do is we do AM and PM rituals where we bookend our days with certain routines so that they're habitual. They become who they are. What do you guys do?
So, first thing I do is I give them permission because I find that people are waiting for permission to have it be okay to take care of themselves because we are geared as women to be nurturers and to be taking care of everyone else. And so if someone you trust and respect says, hey, Kerry, it's important that you take time for yourself and, let's create a system that you can do that. And that permission makes a big difference. And then secondly, schedule it in, actually, realistically schedule it in. And what I do and what I advise is, put that in every day. Like I have it on my calendar to go to the gym, to work out, get some kind of exercise and activity every single day. And then a couple of those days will fall off, which is fine because then I still have gotten plenty of exercise for the week. And on the other days, I'll do something quick or whatever. But schedule it in. Actually make it a priority. That goes back to, like pretend that it's a client or it's a meeting or it's a conference call or something that you need to attend. And it's really important. So that's how, and then that reinforcement and that accountability, when you know that you're accountable and you're going to be meeting with someone every week, and they're going to be asking you about it and you want to be able to report favorably, even though they won't judge you or anything like that, you still want to be able to say, yeah, I got to the gym 4 times last week.
Yeah. And that accountability, I think, is really key. I was just reading an article. I mentioned this in another talk as well. I just read an article. This will be really interesting to you. In The Economist. And they had done a research in regards to weight loss and doing it with accountability built in, like doing it within a group or a partner. But really this research was within a group. And they were actually talking about virtual programs, because they've done so much study on face-to-face local programs, but now virtual programs are becoming so much more accessible that they did this in-depth research about it. And the statistics were far higher in regards to people getting success with their weight loss and keeping it off. The people who were a part of a community, who had that support, who had that accountability built in, and I can't remember the exact number, but the numbers were drastically different in regards to the people who weren't trying to just do it alone and figure it out and reinvent the wheel. Like, they were really allowing themselves to be supported. It was astounding.
Yeah. And that goes back to, making yourself a priority, but doing it in a way that works for you, doing it in a way that will actually help you achieve the results. And I agree, having a group is really effective, or a group or a mentor. Just trying to do it alone is hard, can be hard. I don't want to say it is hard, because that's a limiting belief, but it just doesn't tend to be quite as effective.
Right. Isolation usually kills success, is what I've noticed. Not
it's
always.
Like for the first few weeks, like at the beginning of the year, it's like your enthusiasm is there, but then who keeps stoking that enthusiasm after that if it's just you?
Right. So true. So what would you, you've worked with clients for a while. So I'm really interested to hear, what have you learned? Like, what are some of the most key things that you've learned from doing this transformational work with people?
There's so much to it, and it's so fascinating, but the people who have strong intentions to get better, like I have a client who was sick for 18 years, almost 20 years. And she'd been to naturopaths and all the doctors and done the blood work and the lab testing, and nothing had really helped. And she came to me, but her intention was still really strong to get better. And I find that those types of people, it really works. It really works. So find what your intention is and connect with that intention. And the other thing is, another thing I've learned is chronic illness can tend to degrade the self-esteem, and you start believing that that's who you are. Like, it can actually become your identity. And I've seen this again and again, and it was true for myself as well, is if you start to identify yourself as a sick person, then it will be a self-fulfilling prophecy, because that's how it works, because that's what your mind is geared towards. So just take a look at your beliefs and see if they're supporting you. So what I do with a lot of my clients is we actually go through what their beliefs are, and you can see it. I catch it a lot in what they say and how they act. And, I have one gal, my newest client, who we just had our first session last week, and I didn't hear from her in between, because I'm a coach who you can access in between sessions. Like, let me be there for you. Let me be standing by your side, at least metaphorically, because this, that's what makes the program different than just going to the doctor every so often. And she didn't get in touch with me during the week. And so I said, hey, what was that all about? And she has a limiting belief that she is not worthy, that she is not valuable. And a lot of the things she's doing in her life, a lot of the self-sabotage is going back to that belief, including not asking questions that she needed answered until the next session. And so one of her assignments actually for this week is to reach out for me, that it's okay to ask for help, and you're important enough to, ask and receive that help. So really uncovering those types of things, because our beliefs will dictate our experience of life. And so getting clear on what those are. And then, what else have I learned? There's just so much, but weight loss rarely has to do with just calories in, calories out, nutrition plans. There have been a few people and a few who I've said, okay, this is what we're going to do, and I've explained it and gone through it, given them, the plan, and they lose weight. And that happens, sometimes, but that's not the majority. There's so many deeper things going on, and that goes for chronic illness and different things like that too. So mindset is just incredibly important. I mean, hey, you can look at it as, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to make these changes, and how hard is that going to be? Or you can be like, great, this is a chance to have an adventure and have my future look the way I want it to look, rather than continuing what I have been doing, which is clearly not working. I'm unhappy, unhealthy, and, probably just not having that experience of life that I want. So great, this is my possibility.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. And I think like really being that bridge maker to help people see like, okay, I can reach out and get my questions asked or get my questions answered. And it's okay for me to not be really tough and have to figure it out on my own, but to be able to lean on somebody for support. A lot of that stuff, with the mindset, it really stems from childhood is what I know to be true. And, if we can help people see the root of what's really going on, because the weight is just a symptom. It's never about the weight. The weight is always just a symptom to something deeper going on. So then it's like, okay, well, let's get to the root of why you're having this story in your mind that is declaring war on your body, basically, and then helping them move through those pieces. Yeah, it's foundational. A lot of people don't include that in their programs and in their work. I do, you do, and I think that without that piece, like, you can have the science piece, but if you don't marry it to the inner work, then eventually it's all going to go out the window.
Yeah, it ends up just being short term. It ends up being a diet, and that's why people gain back the weight that they lost instead of keeping it up.
Right, exactly. So let's. I would love to hear, because I know that you have a lot of good examples. So what are some examples of some transformation that you have facilitated? Like, I know that, you're helping that one client move through her mindset piece and knowing that it's okay to reach out and get support. So what else have you seen as a common issue with some of your problems, and how have you moved through it?
So one of my first clients, who's an amazing gal in her mid-30s, she had weight and self-esteem and confidence and energy and fatigue issues since she was pretty young, since she was maybe in high school or even earlier. And and she knew, she's very smart, and she knew that she shouldn't have certain foods, and she was doing it. She was sabotaging herself left and right all the time. And so we worked through a lot of her belief systems about herself, and she lost a bunch of weight. She looks amazing. She feels amazing. She stepped into her life purpose. She was working at a restaurant as a waitress, which is totally fine, but she's an artist. She's got this incredible talent. And so she stepped in and stepped up to a bigger game, which she hadn't had the confidence or the self-esteem to do before. And she said it was because it was the first time in her life, back to what we were talking about earlier, where someone had actually been there for her, believed in her, cheerleaded her, and was just there for her. And she never had that before. And that was why, more so than the nutrition and what to do and different things like that. The accountability was important too. But just having someone to actually believe in her and stand by her side. So I have a lot of those types of examples, and this happens actually a lot. These are the types of clients, that I bring to me, people who are really committed and really willing, and they are really educated, and they know what to do, and they know that they shouldn't be eating certain foods or eating at night right before they go to bed, and then, trying to sleep with a full stomach, all these things that are keeping them from where they want to be. And so it's that deeper work, that going inside and figuring that piece of it out. And then everyone is different, so we tweak each one of the programs to have it be most effective for that person, and creating a lot of awareness and insight. Awareness is the gateway to transformation. If you can't start noticing what works for your body, what doesn't work for your body, what makes you feel good and right and free and happy, then it's going to be really hard. But if you can tap into that, then it's easier to start making those shifts. So lots of people like that. I had one guy who was a professional bicyclist, and he would go and do competitions and long 4, 5, and 6 hour bike rides. And he just couldn't lose those last 10 pounds. And I worked with him on what to eat. I actually took him grocery shopping because he was local. And he wanted to lose 8 pounds. And he easily lost 12 and got his body fat way down to where he really needed to be in that professional category. So anywhere from, like a 60 pounds loss to the last 5 or 10 pounds, lots of those types of examples. It's really cool. It's the most rewarding thing in the world. And actually, me getting in touch with this work, my life purpose, and why I am here was a big part of really having, I was already healthy, but having like that last piece of truly optimal health. And I would say that that's one of the pieces to really having that vibrant health is connect with your life purpose. What is your gift and talent that you can share with the world? And it doesn't have to be something that you're doing for a vocation or a job that you're making money at. It might be. But when you're in touch with that, the whole world just comes alive.
Yeah, it's true. And what I've noticed is, usually people come to my community, and I think probably yours too. Yours is more weight and health. Mine's more weight, and they come wanting to lose the weight, or for me, wanting to lose the weight. But then what's really beautiful about it is as they start to really love themselves and put certain strategies into place, they're making more money, they're getting promotions at work, their relationships are deepening, they're finding that spouse or that soulmate. Like other areas of their life tend to blossom because they're finally letting themselves care for themselves and get healthy and happy. And then there's no way that it can't affect all the other areas of your life, including your passion in the world or your service in the world or finding what you're passionate about. I mean, I see it so often as well. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's a full effect too, Kerry. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it with your clients. Your client is changing, and then all of a sudden her family and her colleagues and they're not even necessarily walking around preaching, but it just starts to change everyone around them. It's so cool.
Right, because who they are, they've lifted their vibration, and either people will match them or usually create an exit strategy. That's what I've seen. And it's really beautiful. I have so many women who say, oh, I did your program and my husband lost 30 pounds. And I'm like, great. That's awesome. 2 for 1.
My whole family got healthy. I hear that a lot. Like my whole family, my husband, my kids, like we're all getting healthy together. It's so cool.
Awesome. It's really awesome. Well, Marcie, I know that you put together a free gift for our community, and a very special free gift just for our community. I would love for you to share what that is, and that will also allow all of our friends who are on this call to connect with you personally as well. So can you tell us what that is?
Absolutely. So I have a free gift for everyone, and it's really cool. So we didn't get a chance to talk about nutrition today because that wasn't the point of our interview today, but I do have a series of videos on that. So on what to eat, when to eat, I call it the what, when, how strategy, and it works really, really well. So I have my video series at thehealthandhappinessguide.com, and that's completely free to you. The first part is on weight, and the second part is on sleep and energy, and the third part is on cravings and emotional eating.
Great. So everybody, that link is also on the Global Health Summit page. Just go to Marcie's bio. I put that link there for you so it's as easy as possible for you to find it. I do encourage you to reach out and find out more and connect with Marcie. Marcie and I are both here because we care very deeply about you, and we care that you are happy and you're healthy, and you see that you don't have to live in the status quo and fit yourself into this little defined box, that you can create anything for yourself, including optimal weight, optimal health, and a life that really lights you up. So we're here to be part of your team. And Marcie, thank you so much for being here. It's so good. It's always fun to play with you and collaborate with you. And it's so good to have you here this year.
My honor. Thank you, Kerry. And thank you for putting on such an amazing event.
Thank you. You're so welcome. And everyone, I will be sending out the next link very soon. Watch your email so that you can join us on the next call. And we'll see you soon. Bye for now.